All right. Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today for our webinar. During this session, we're going to learn the tricks and collect the tips about monetization and user acquisition on Amazon Appstore. So, without any further ado, let me introduce you to all of the speakers of today's webinar. My name is Art. I'm an account manager on the demand side here at Charboost EMEA's office, alongside my dear colleague Robin Conger, who is an account manager on the supply side.
Hi, everyone.
Robin,
thank you for joining.
Awesome. And we're thrilled to have two great speakers today who will do a proper introduction when we get to UA section. But do you want to quickly say hi? First is going to be Jason Conger, Head of User Acquisition at Wooga.
Hi, everybody. Happy to be here.
And of course, one and only Misha Syrotiuk, Head of Ad Networks and DSPs from Huuuge.
Hi, guys. Happy to be online.
Thank you very much for joining us today, guys. And this is what we're going to cover today. For the first part of the webinar, Robin will take over the mic to introduce you to Amazon Appstore and share the insights on monetization for Amazon apps, where he will highlight key takeaways from the case study that we have recently published with AppyNation. After that, we will talk about user acquisition with our prominent guests who are also leaders of their industries, so stay tuned. I hope you are as excited as I am. So let's start. First, two quick slides about Charboost for those who don't know about us. We are the leading in-app monetization and programmatic advertising platform with a history of 9 years of excellence and expertise in mobile advertising and monetization. Charboost is acknowledged by the industry as a top-ranked SDK and media source with 4 offices across the globe. We have offices in San Francisco, Beijing, Barcelona, and Amsterdam. Here at Charboost, we take pride in great partnerships with over 300,000 apps worldwide who have our SDK installed, through which we engage with over 900 million unique users every month by serving approximately 200 billion ad requests. Okay, and now I will hand it over to Robin for an introduction to Amazon platform. Robin.
Thank you so much, Art. So to start things off, I want to go over some general Amazon App Store information. This also includes some numbers from Amazon and numbers that we see on Charboost. So let's dive into it. What is the Amazon Store? The Amazon Store is the App Store available on all Amazon Fire devices. On top of that, it is very simple to install the Amazon App Store on any Android devices, meaning that also Android users can be found on the Amazon App Store. On the store, users can pay either with real-life currency or with Amazon coins. Amazon coins can be bought in bundles, giving users discounts which are given by Amazon itself. This and some of the upcoming information comes from an ebook published by Amazon. It's called The Developer's Guide to Amazon App Store. And in the book, you will find why and how to start on the Amazon Store, technical requirements, everything operational and performance related. You can download the ebook for free, and it offers an even more in-depth information in addition to these slides. So why the Amazon App Store? Talking about numbers first. Millions of devices have access to the Amazon App Store. It's available in 236 countries. Users on Amazon Fire devices like the Kindle Fire tablets can only be reached if your game is published in the Amazon Store. Similar to the iOS and Android Store, Amazon offers an in-app purchase API, which makes it easy to offer subscriptions and digital content such as in-game currency, expansion pack, upgrades, consumable, and more for purchase within your app. 64% of mobile gamers in the Amazon App Store actually spend money on mobile games, compared to only 37% in the Google Play Store. The last number, 75% compatibility, refers to Android apps that are able to run on the Amazon Store. More about this will follow in 2 slides later. Launching games on the Amazon Store is a very simple process. Like with Google Play, you upload an APK file, which is a similar build as the Google Play build. Some things have to be considered though. For instance, any API service like payments or geo-based features have to be considered. Amazon has migration documents about migrating these features from Android to Amazon. What is also important to mention is that the Amazon store also accepts HTML built games, which allows to publish HTML games that you have laying around, or allows to expand your games to other devices such as televisions running on Amazon Fire OS. Going back, talking about APKs again, Amazon allows you to upload your Android APK to their developer platform. Their test tool will tell you if changes need to be made and how to make them. These changes might be needed for example, the before mentioned API services, such as in-app purchases or geo APIs, or changes that are needed for better compatibility with the Fire devices. So going back to the number we mentioned before, over 75% of Android apps that were tested work as is in the Amazon App Store with no additional development required. You can use this test tool for free after signing up on Amazon, and within minutes you understand how much additional development is needed to release your Android games on the Amazon App Store. The Amazon store counts over 5 million apps, still growing every day. 5 million apps makes that the Amazon store is as big as 15% of the iOS App Store and 8% of the Google Play Store. Amazon is definitely the smallest store, but this also leads to many opportunities. The store is less saturated and less competitive, making it easier to stand out and be more effective in your ASO strategy. When we look at the graph, we can see the clear growth in the number of apps as well, meaning that the Amazon store will only get bigger from now. When looking at some Chartboost data on eCPM averages, Amazon has about a 2 times higher eCPM than Google Play. This does make sense, since Amazon campaigns are often focused on Tier 1 countries only. The quality of apps on the Amazon store is high, where Google Play, with so many apps, also has many more lower quality apps, making for a lower eCPM on average. The relative in-app purchase users is also higher on Amazon, explaining why advertisers are willing and able to pay more on Amazon, making for higher publisher eCPMs. All of this information is based on data that we have seen within our network. So next up, I will speak more in depth about monetization itself and a bit about AppyNation, who is one of our customers and has seen great results on Amazon with us. So I'm very excited to share some best practices from our developer AppyNation, with whom we did a case study, available on our website blog. AppyNation has been partnering with Chartboost for monetization on Amazon's App Store since they launched their very first games, so for more than 6 years now. In preparation for this webinar, we expanded with more details, in which I'll be sharing some App Store optimizations and Waterfall setups, and explain why the Amazon App Store has been a great app store for AppyNation to polish games on. AppyNation has launched their apps on iOS, Android, and also Amazon since they started releasing apps. They currently have 12 games live and are known for their puzzle games such as Picture Cross, Puzzle Page, and Crossword. As an active Picture Cross player myself, I can confirm that the AppyNation games are great and really fun to play. The reasoning behind the decision to launch on the Amazon store is that Amazon devices seem to be great devices for their puzzle games. AppyNation makes puzzle games that can appeal to an older audience, which is an audience often found on Amazon devices. The audience that reads books on Kindle devices tend to buy Amazon Fire devices such as the tablets, and seem to be greatly interested in playing puzzle games too. The revenue split for AppyNation on Amazon is 80% in-app purchase versus 20% ads. The puzzle nature of the game and in-app purchase focus make that AppyNation has seen great results on Amazon. Talking about ASO, so ASO on the Amazon store plays a key role in app visibility, similar as you have in other stores. On top of that, Android users that you might not have reached via the Google Play Store due to its abundance of apps and competition, you might be able to reach in the Amazon store where there is less competition. The factors that play a role in ASO are similar to the other stores. Think of things such as keywords, the app title, app icon, the descriptions that you put in place, or the creatives that you have. From speaking to developers about ASO, there isn't a one-size-fits-all approach. The key to a successful ASO strategy is to properly measure your ranking and continuously keep on track testing. So test different creatives, different apps, different keywords, a different icon. Always change one of the variables and measure the impact. So the waterfall setup on Amazon. So setting a waterfall to monetize your game can be done on most of the major mediation platforms for Amazon as well. Similar key features are supported that you know on iOS and Android, like the ability to set network priorities. Ad networks like ourselves support flat or eCPM floor and multiple locations. It can be set enough, but the key here again is to test, track, and review performance while making changes to the waterfall. There is, again, no one-size-fits-all when it comes to waterfall management, but I can show you one waterfall practice that has been widely adopted. I will refer to it as the tiered waterfall model. So a tiered waterfall splits up the waterfall into different price buckets or tiers. If the waterfall would be from $50 to $1, you can have buckets, for example, from 40 to 50, 30 to 40, 20 to 30, etc. You can see this on the image on the right. Within each tier, you set an eCPM floor for each network, and you ensure that each network is competing in each tier. So in tier 1, you see networks A to E, and then you make sure that in tier 2, you have the same networks as well. So let's say you have the first tier $40 to $50. We put network A at $50, network B at 48, and network C at 46, and we continue like that. In the second tier, you add the same networks again. This time, network A at $40 and network B at 38, and you get the point. So what do you achieve with a setup like this? Each network has different demand, different strengths and weaknesses. Network A might be very good at filling at higher prices, while network C does better in the low price range. By having these tiers, you give each network a chance to compete at all different price points, and over time you will be able to tell which network works well in which price range for your traffic. You can analyze the performance of each network and adjust the waterfall accordingly. For example, swapping one of the networks with the other because it's filling better within that price bucket. This is a general waterfall approach, but also applicable for Amazon traffic. So like with any store, launching apps on the Amazon store comes with similar and challenges of its own. From working with AppyNation, there are some of the challenges I can mention. So the opportunities they include there less competition and therefore better visibility within the store, greater reach to existing and potential new users. There is a higher amount of in-app purchase players, and it's very easy to implement, especially if you're already on Android due to the explanation we have given. One of the challenges can be the relatively lower number of ad wheels. These are users that watch many ads, for example, rewarded ads to get more in-game currency or points. Monetizing on Amazon works better when your game has a holistic monetization setup, focusing mainly on in-app purchase with ads as an additional revenue source. Another challenge is app parity. Especially when an app has a community, users speak to each other and talk about new features in your game. This makes that you want to ensure that all your apps remain up to date to keep user trust and ensure your quality standards are visible throughout all platforms. Lastly, the Amazon platform is unique and has a unique audience, and this can or cannot be the audience for your app, but you can only find out after trying. So if you want to read more about AppyNation's Amazon case, I would highly encourage you to go and visit our blog at chartboost.com/blog. On our blog, you will find amazing articles in the topics of monetization, user acquisition, stories from our customers and partners, and our latest product and programmatic updates. If we have some spare time at the end, I can answer some of the monetization related questions from the chat at the end of this webinar. And if not, feel free to reach out to me. My email address will be visible at the final slide, and my colleague Art will take it from here.
Thank you very much, Robin, for all the insights and all the information. And now it's time for a deep dive into UA on Amazon with Misha and Jason. This part is going to be interactive, where we'll get insights from both speakers by providing them questions. But first, I would like to ask speakers to tell us a bit more about themselves, their companies, and what they do. Misha, I think let's start with you.
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Misha, and I work for Huuuge Games for already 4 years, managing a team of UA specialists that do media buying for our games. As here on the slide, it's visible, 2 of our biggest titles, Building a Casino and Huuuge Casino. And Huuuge Games itself has a few other titles, including publishing, and we are based in over 10 offices around the world. I myself am full-time in Warsaw in Poland, and I'm happy that Charboost was one of the first network I worked with, and we successfully working till today.
Thank you so much for the kind words and joining us today, Misha. Jason, now it's your turn. Tell us more about yourself.
Thanks, Art. Hi, everybody. My name is Jason. I'm the head of user acquisition at Wooga. We're based in Berlin, Germany. For those of you who don't know who we are, Wooga is a mobile gaming developer focused on creating the world's best story-driven casual games. We're around 250 people from around the globe. We're the proud creators of June's Journey, which is the #1 hidden object game in the world, as well as some other hits like Pearl's Peril, Tropicats, and more. We've actively been hiring, so check out our website and look for open roles to come level up with us. Personally, I've been at Wooga for over 2.5 years now, and I'm incredibly fortunate to lead a super talented UA team. Prior to Wooga, I was the director of UA and monetization at Backflip Studios, which is in the US, and actually Chartboost was one of the very first networks that I started working with as a UA manager. So I've been working with Chartboost on Amazon for about 5 years now.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being a part of our webinar today, Jason. And so happy to hear that a lot of people have been working with us for quite a long time. But okay, let's move on to the questions. And first, let's start off with this one. What are the benefits and opportunities you see on Amazon? What about Misha? Go first.
Yeah, I can jump into that. So we in Huuuge Games, we want to make sure that all of our potential users, whether they use iOS devices or Android or Kindle Fire devices, will be able to play our games. So we try to develop our games on all of these 3 OS. Of course, we would start with iOS and Android, but our biggest titles are on Amazon Appstore as well. Because the Amazon App Store is quite small, of course, there is less competition. There are less developers in the space. So this would be one of the biggest benefits that I would mention.
Yeah, I kind of agree with some of the points you're saying. So we see that Amazon user quality is especially high. The ARPDAU on Amazon is actually better than any other platform that we work with. And I think it's kind of a point to what Robin was hitting up before, that payments on Amazon just typically tend to be really easy, and they're kind of second nature for those users. And it's also nice too for us in UA because the competition isn't as high. Not every app developer is able to port their game to Amazon. So this is an opportunity for us because it definitely leads us to be able to reach our users in a way that we can't always with other networks. And we also see that this is an investment into the future of Amazon. They have the resources to rival some of those big partners like Google and Apple. So if in the future they're able to develop high quality devices, they'll have a platform independent of the Play Store and the App Store as well.
All right. Thank you for sharing. So this was about the opportunities. And what about the challenges of UA on Amazon?
Yeah, there definitely are quite a few when it comes to it. So I would say first, the scale is low. There's only a few markets, the US, the UK, Germany, and France, so you can't really expand globally.
Yeah, I fully agree with Jason. Because the scale is low, there is also very limited inventory, and there is very limited possibilities to do user acquisition. So some of the budgets that we see on other OS would never be possible to spend on Amazon. There's a very small pool of users who own Amazon devices, and therefore, because there is less demand, the networks that offer doing user acquisition don't have such a sophisticated methodologies as those on other OS. Therefore, we might feel like it's 2015 or 16 in terms of doing user acquisition on Amazon.
Yeah, I think to couple that too, there's only a handful of networks that you can work with, which doesn't include some of the major ones that you're used to seeing, like AdWords or Apple Search or some others. So that's kind of a challenge. And then when you work with Amazon directly, you're working with separate teams by market. So whether that's North America or EU, you're going to have different teams, separate IOs, different terms, separate creatives. So it's just something to keep in mind.
Thank God the Chartist is different. But okay, let's move on to a tricky question, a bit of a tablet question, even I would say. What is your spend on UA on Amazon? Maybe if you cannot call the actual numbers, like percentage of the total budget that goes to Amazon.
Yeah, good try, Art. I can't give you an exact number there. I would say, though, in relation to our overall budget, it's a small single-digit percentage, and this can fluctuate month to month.
All right.
Yeah,
Misha?
it could be from less than 1% to a few percentage points, depending on the month and our focus. I can probably bring something else into here. So during our biggest UA spending month, we were managing around 5 to 10 campaigns monthly. So if you will take average campaign budget, maybe you can calculate what would that monthly budget would be.
Okay, at least I've got something out of you. Let's move on to the talk of the town, COVID-19. How did it affect you? How have the budgets been adjusted due to the situation in the world right now?
So we haven't yet analyzed in details this recent situation and its impact on specifically on Amazon, just because the pool is so low. And we are looking to acquire users that would stay for us for a while. And for a while, I mean months and years, and not just few days or weeks. Therefore, even if some gaming companies or majority of gaming companies do benefit in the short term, we would need to wait a few months at least to calculate all the impacts in the long term, because we are looking forward to acquire users that would have a big lifetime value.
Interesting.
Yeah, I agree with you there. We really don't know what's going to happen in the long-term impact. We understand that the LTV of these cohorts are going to be different because of all the external factors going on right now in the market. But we did some preliminary analysis with the impact on the product and also on UA. And then in the market, we've just seen a huge rise in available inventory overall, because major brands are pulling out their ad spend, which is causing on our side a drastic drop in terms of the CPI. So based on this, we analyzed our options and decided that it was best for us at this time to strategically increase our budget. So we are spending more at this time than we were previously. Digging into what we saw on Amazon specifically, we saw that Amazon was the slowest platform to react to the market situation. Google and Apple were changing overnight, in some cases like 50% decrease in CPI.
Wow.
However, for Amazon, because of the kind of limited reach and scale that we've been talking about, there wasn't a huge leap in the scale or a huge drop in the CPI. Fortunately, though, we were able to pick up some additional inventory in April from Amazon directly, working with their team. And this allowed us to improve our performance pretty immediately. This is normally only an option for us during the holiday season, but yeah, because of those brands pulling out, it opened up some better placements for us to pick up some volume.
All right, thank you so much for sharing. Let's move on a different subject. Let's talk about user quality on Amazon. Misha, let's start with you. How does a good user look like to you, to Huuuge?
So for our two biggest titles, Billionaire Casino and Huuuge Casino, we are looking to acquire users that are very engaged in our games, so meaning the retention rate is high, and the user who is a member of different clubs, and most importantly, the user who is a payer. In our case specifically, payer rate on Amazon in some cases is lower than on other OS, including iOS and Android. I could try to explain it that because there are very limited UA opportunities or sophisticated targeting, we're not able to target specifically those potential payers as effectively as we can on other OS. So that's why for us a good sources are those who can bring user with high payer rate and also with high ROI.
Okay. And what about Wooga, Jason? How do you see a good user?
I'd say it's similar to Misha with a couple of nuances. So we have a hybrid-based model, meaning that we monetize via in-app purchase and also advertising revenue. So this allows us to have a little bit of a broader definition of a good user. So like personally for me, for example, I'm not a payer in June's Journey. However, I consume ads, I refer my friends to the game, and I play consistently on a daily basis. In some companies, that might mean that I'm a bad user because I didn't pay. But at Wooga, this isn't necessarily the case. So when it comes down to it, though, our team is a performance-based marketing team. So our goals are all revolving around retention, monetization, scalability, and then ultimately ROI. So in this, we're evaluating our performance using an in-house LTV model, which our data science team has built, where we're looking at the early days of the user behavior to forecast out the predicted value after 360 days.
Very cool. Thanks for sharing. And how would you describe users on Amazon in general?
I can start. From my side, I would say that they're highly monetizing. The retention is slightly lower on Amazon. The scale is low, and in general, it's US centric.
Okay,
and for you, Misha?
Yeah, very similar on that. I can add that because of Amazon geographical location, which is US mostly, and they also have mostly female users that are above 35 years old. Those are also among the users that we are looking for to acquire and that have higher chances to become payers later in our games.
Okay. Jason, can you tell me how do these users compare to the other stores like Appstore or Google Play?
Sure, that's a good question. I would say for a fair comparison, I would limit it to just looking at the US because of the reach that we've talked about before. So in comparison to the US, Amazon users are much cheaper to acquire. So they're the cheapest to acquire versus any other app store. However, the retention is slightly lower, but they are highly influential. And by this, I mean that the organic ratio on Amazon is higher than other platforms. So overall, I would say that they're more similar to Google Play than iOS, but ultimately somewhere in the middle.
Okay, got it. And what's the LTV or long-term performance you see for Amazon users?
Yeah, good try, Art. Similar to some of the other question with the budgeting. So of course we can't disclose much details about the LTV models. I can just say that we are happy with the numbers we see on Amazon, and we are continuing investing in marketing on this OS.
Yeah.
All right.
From my side, I think I told a little bit about the LTV earlier, just how we model it, but it's consistently strong on Amazon and profitable for us. It's a little more volatile compared to some other platforms, just because the volume is lower in general. But in relative numbers, the LTVs are similar to Google Play.
Gotcha. Okay. I hope all the listeners do appreciate how many insights I'm trying to get out of you guys and how many insights you're sharing. So thank you very much. And on this positive note, let's move on to another topic, which is campaign optimizations. What type of campaign optimizations have you tried? Maybe some A/B testings. Can you please share a bit more about that?
Sure. I think this is a topic that I'm happy to share more. So there are three main channels that you can do user acquisition on Amazon. You can do Facebook, Amazon Direct, or different video SDK networks. So we have tested all of them in the past few years, and I'm happy to share tips and tricks on some of them. For sure, Facebook in general has the biggest targeting possibilities in the world, but because Amazon inventory is so small, a lot of Facebook algorithms just not available, and it's not that great as an other OS. On the other side, when you work with Amazon Direct, you have the biggest amount of unique inventory, and because it's actually only Amazon devices, this is for sure the chance for you to be sure you're not getting Android at all. But because Amazon Direct is very old school, there are very limited targeting possibilities, or not as many as with other networks. So we probably did the biggest amount of tests with the rewarded video networks, and those tests including different whitelisting of publishers, blacklisting, bid by pop, so placing different bids for different publishers based on the performance, testing different creatives, whether it's a static or video, and if it's video, also different duration, and from 5 till 40 seconds, and many more tests.
All right, thanks for sharing. And for you, Jason, how would it go?
Yeah, I would say for the optimization side, it's similar for us when it comes down to what Misha's talking about on the network side. So we only have a handful of partners where we can do UA on Amazon. So my recommendation at least would be that if you're trying to A/B test, Amazon might not be the best platform for it. What we do is that we take learnings and best practices that we have from other channels and apply those to Amazon, which works for us. I'll go a little bit deeper into how we work with Amazon directly now. So when it comes to Amazon, we run wakescreen campaigns. I think you can see a creative coming up on the next slide. It's a fairly popular high-performing placement on Amazon. We test different creatives with the wakescreen. This is not done on a performance basis, or this is done, sorry, on a performance basis though. It's not like creative split testing. And we're running numerous types of different campaigns. So whether that's an animated wake screen versus an interactive wake screen, lookalike versus a custom audience, tier 1 inventory versus tier 2 inventory, etc. So if we go to the next slide, we'll see a creative for Amazon wake screen. So this one here is what we would call an interactive wake screen. So when a user fires up their device, they'll be hit with an ad like this, where they can actually interact with the ad themselves. So here you see a June's Journey ad where it's asking them, can they find the flowers, and leading them through a little bit of the story where they can then later go in to download the game.
Very interesting. Thank you so much. And very good creative as well.
Thanks.
And talking about creatives, can you showcase, and we're actually already showcasing you, one of the best performing creatives that you have? Can you talk more about that and targeting in general on the campaigns?
Sure. Yeah, so this is a creative that's done really well for us on the Chartboost network. Obviously, I'm here because we do quite a bit with Chartboost and have had quite a bit of success. So this is one of the videos that we ran with Chartboost that has done quite well for us. The targeting that we ran with Chartboost in the past on the video network was relatively simple. We use device and OS targeting with blacklists and then some slight bidding by pub. Currently, though, however, we moved to testing the DSP, and it's off to a great start for us on a number of our games. We're super excited about where this is going, and yeah, it's been a really nice addition. On Amazon directly, we're running the wakescreen campaigns, like I said before. And we do this using tier 1 inventory and using a mix of lookalikes and untargeted and interest-based targeting, while also including country blacklists. And overall, we have good luck with these videos like you see here, which are showcasing our hidden object gameplay in a number of our beautiful scenes.
Okay, Misha, would you like to add something?
Sure, yeah. Since Jason already talked about creatives, I'm going to focus more on campaign best performing strategy. And one tip that I would like to share is seasonality. So we've noticed over the period of few years that the month of January is the best to scale up your Amazon campaigns on user acquisition for a few reasons. There are just more Amazon devices available suddenly. Since Christmas finished, a lot of people generally purchased devices for as a gift for other people, or in Q4 because of different sales going on. And the inventory is much cheaper because brands have spent big budgets in Q4 before Christmas. So in January, the spending is not that, the CPMs are not that high as they will be in February later on. So consider investing more during January and maybe even doing special campaigns. Talk to your account managers. We, over the past 3 years at least, spent quite more in January versus other months, and are happy with this.
All right, thanks so much for sharing, guys. And since Misha started the spree of sharing tips, what would be your top 3 advice on doing UA on Amazon that you could give?
Right, so I think we already mentioned that, and my number 1 tip would be try as many channels as possible on Amazon. Actually, there is a very little amount of channels anyway. You can as well test them all. There are very few rewarded video networks available. And there is Amazon Direct and Facebook. So probably in a few months, you can test them all. And you might discover a certain media channel that is working very well for you. Second is to measure your K factor, or ratio between paid and organic. Because the inventory is so much smaller, you might notice that even though your paid campaign might not be working as good as you would expect, actually it boosts your organic installs a lot. So if you calculate total LTV, paid including organic, you might see different numbers than if you just focus on the paid. As well, consider going into featuring on Amazon. This is something that you have to have a good relationship with the Amazon store, and it might give you a free boost of organic installs. I guess my last tip would be try to target other geos. So for us specifically, we did try, it didn't work. It turned out that there is just not many users in other countries who would be interested in playing our games. But from talking to Jason and other advertisers, I know that there is an inventory available, and if your game is something that other geos would like, then consider going there as well.
All right, thanks for sharing. Jason, would you share your top 3 tips for UA on Amazon?
Sure, absolutely. I think the one that I would start with is similar to kind of the philosophy that Misha has as well, and that's to first test it. Always test. If you can have your company support Amazon, test UA and see what you can get there. There should be added value for you, even if there's friction or some barriers to entry. And obviously, this doesn't come without costs. It's not necessarily going to be easy for every organization to do this. So you have to properly evaluate that cost benefit scenario for the given title. And if it's a distraction, keep your team capacity in mind just to make sure that you can support that. Secondarily, I would say be patient and manage your expectations because it's not the same as Google and Apple, and you shouldn't compare it directly. By that, I mean if you're expecting the revenue stream to rival either one of those platforms, I think you're looking in the wrong place. However, it can add a very nice complementary income stream. For us, we always want to diversify our portfolio as much as possible. The goal is that we don't have multiple, or the goal is that we do have multiple revenue streams and the option not to put all of our eggs in one basket. So like, don't get me wrong, Facebook and Google on iOS and Android are great, but if you actually want to achieve full scale, you kind of have to think beyond just the big two when it comes to platforms and networks. Lastly, I would say that like any partner, relationship building and trust building is key. So in particular with Amazon, you should be prepared to negotiate, manage a lot of contracts, work with a number of IOs, have back and forth on the creative, deal with volume and performance ups and downs. Because it's a unique network, it comes with its own challenges and risks, but also can provide some pretty nice rewards. So yeah, at the end of the day, it's a relationship. You have to build trust. Fortunately for us, we have a great relationship with Amazon and our partners like Chartboost, and for us, it pays off.
All right. Thank you so much for sharing. That was great, guys. Thank you so much for your answers. I've learned a lot today. Hopefully everyone who tuned in did too. And before we move to Q&A with you, Robin and I would like to sum up some things that we learned today into more actionable points. Robin, would you like to start?
Yeah, I think the key takeaways from the monetization part is that it's super easy to get started, especially if you already have Android apps live. You can get higher eCPMs than with Google Play or Android apps due to the reasons mentioned. And if you have more inventory, meaning that your inventory is on all platforms, including Amazon, you can attract more demand and potentially have more revenue at the end.
Okay, good. And for user acquisition, I would agree with guys that you should do a lot of testing to find the right approach for you. Test, that's everything, including Amazon, no matter how low scale is. Try to be tactical with your UA efforts and optimizations when it comes to Amazon. And of course, get me an account manager for your support when it comes to Chartboost. All right. Now, I think we should move forward to the questions. We have some pre-submitted ones. Let me just take a look on them. And I see a very interesting question to Robin. What would be most efficient way to accelerate monetization for casual and hyper casual games?
So I'm guessing that this is Amazon related, right? So hyper casual on Amazon. If I'm completely honest, launching a hyper casual game on Amazon, it seems a bit less inviting at the current moment. A hyper casual games, with a hyper casual game, you want to reach millions of users, and most of the times they're what they call snackable games. So it's very simple games and easy to play on the go. And hyper casual games right now are mostly built for phones. As you might know, the phone market is still being dominated by iOS and Android. So for now, I would say hyper casual mainly focus on the phones, which is still Android and iOS devices. But however, yeah, maybe in the future, Amazon is a very big company, and but you never know, they might roll out some sort of phone. They already have the App Store, so it can be that they will grow more towards that market in the future. And yeah, as a fact, the App Store is still with less competition, and yeah, you never know where it goes. So for now, I would say hyper casual iOS and Android is the way to go. But maybe in the future, or maybe now, you can already start of thinking on the longer term on how to do that.
Okay, thank you so much. Guys, I think this question will be good both for Misha and for Jason. Um, what are the KPIs that are important in UA on Amazon?
I can start on that. So we look at very similar KPIs on Amazon as on other OS. So those would be on the short term. We would look at cost per install, retention, ROI, payer rate, IPM, everything that is happening before install and shortly after install. And on the long term, we would look at LTV, paybacks, and long-term ROI.
Yeah, I think ours are probably pretty similar to that. I would add in addition, day 2 and day 7 yield. We tend to look at those ones pretty closely in the short term, along with D1, D7 retention. Conversion rate's important for us. And then obviously in the long term, our LTV ROI kind of is the defining KPI.
Okay, guys, we've got a question from a participant of today's webinar. Let's see if somebody of us can answer it. Do you consider Amazon Store a good space for games targeting kids aged between 8 to 12?
I don't know if I'm the best to answer this. Unfortunately, our games are more for like females, 35 and up for the most part. So I think I'm going to draw out of that.
Same here. Unfortunately, I cannot comment.
Robin, would you like to go? Okay. Sorry, participant. No, nobody knows, unfortunately. Okay, we have a different question. How to do marketing for Amazon games in minimum investment? Or perhaps from UA perspective, what should be the minimum budget to yield any effective results?
I think I can try to answer this one. So I think it's hard to put like an exact number behind it because it's most likely a function of the install volume that you can drive, your CPI, and your payer rate. So if I have, let's say, $10,000 budget, but my CPI is $10 and my payer rate is only 2 or 3%, I'm probably not going to have enough volume to be able to have enough statistical significance to be confident in whatever that ROI is on the LTV. So I think it probably depends on the overall volume, the CPI that you're able to acquire at, and then what your payer rate is per game. But obviously, if you're trying to launch on a platform, you should try to put something behind it to try to bring enough volume so that you can make a statistically significant decision. So you can at least figure out if Amazon does work or doesn't work for you.
Got it. Thank you so much, Jason. Okay, I think we should move on to our last question because it's been already almost an hour. Okay, Misha, let's try it with you. Slightly out of topic, but since we have experts here, why not get your opinion on this? Games are now adapting subscription-based models in order to avoid video ads. How do you think? Will this trend end the freemium model?
Yeah, I don't think so, because at least from the games that I've seen and that we've experimented with, subscription-based model is not, at least in the cases that I've seen, would be completely instead of video ads. It would be on top of it. So now the user would have an option to subscribe and get daily awards, for example. On top of that, still do in-app purchase and purchase the coins and watch a rewarded video ad. So it's too early to say whether it will substitute, but it's important to highlight what Jason mentioned before, that there are users who just are not payers, and if you are subscribing, you are becoming kind of a payer. Therefore, there will be always users who will be willing to watch ads instead and benefit from that. So publishers will be still having the placement for ads in the games.
All right. Thank you so much for your answer. Well, I think we should finish our webinar with this. Thank you very much for joining us today, and huge shout out to you, Misha, no pun intended, and Jason for sharing us with the insights on Amazon. Thank you very much, guys, for joining us.
Thank you. Thanks.
Okay, that's it, folks. Thank you so much for participating in our webinar. Everyone who registered will receive a recording of this webinar, and if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to either me or my colleague Robin using the emails that you see on your screen. And yeah, thank you so much again. See you soon. Bye.
Bye, guys. Take care.